Ever loved an inventory system in a game? Inventory systems that players remember is something I really wanted for Desperation. I love games like Backpack Hero, Escape from Tarkov, and Resident Evil. These games all have a spatial inventory system, and I really wanted that. The reason I want a spatial inventory system is Desperation will have an extraction like gameplay eventually, and I want to make it more unique run to run. I need a good inventory to help that feel unique for each run. I wanted a system that really challenged the player to make them think about what should I take for quests, and like what's the most valuable item, what's the most rare, and what items do I need right now. I started off with thinking, how can I get this done in a widget? And a widget is just like a 2D overlay. It's the UI in Unreal Engine. I didn't know how to do this. Part of my thought process was I need to have an item with several sections, and I need to know how they collide and overlap. But widgets don't have colliders. I changed to doing this in a scene, in-scene inventory, so I'm making it like a physical actor, and this system was good. I started by creating an inventory grid, and this went great as I created a generated grid that would create itself on opening the inventory based on a max column and row count, and then I would save the player's old camera position, move it from where it was above, and move it way far down below where I spawned the inventory. I created a little system that drops items on a tile and in a grid using it uses line traces and mouse position to keep them, and this worked great. I added some more unique features like checks to see if the tile was open. I added the rotating of the objects and added the several sections for each object. I added some other sections for equipment because I wanted equipment to have that same Tetris feel, adding some checks to make sure weapons can't go into trinket slots, and it was basically done. I did a couple days of work on it, and it wasn't bad, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I couldn't do it the original way in a widget, and I really felt as if I was going the easy way out, and it wasn't the way I should be doing it. This can happen a lot. Part of the reason that kept me going is if you can look at some other games, and especially old indie games, and they just have huge if statements. Like that's a thing. You don't have to be perfect, but I felt like it was a cheap cop-out. After hours of looking through widgets, and I finally found there's the grid component, and one really restless night trying to figure out how to get the offsets, I figured it out. So as one does, I made a Twitter post and I got to work. The way the inventory functions is there is a grid space. Each grid space is created with a blank slot image, and then that grid component stores its column and row position. Like it stores how many for each it has on the max. I then made an array of all the specific slots that were created, and then another array with a Boolean key to see if they were set or not. This is very important because I have two of the key pieces to make this work. Slots with a key variable being their own column and row coordinate, and a Boolean to see if they're set or not. Then I created a 1x1 item that has a drag and drop function, and on drop has several checks, but basically is if the slot is open and if the offsets are all in. After that was set, I needed to create the multiple sections of an item. This is important to me because I really want the player to have that unique shaped items to move around and get that unique spatial gameplay. I created a slot piece, and each one of these slot pieces has a key offset. That means how many spaces in a X and Y, meaning column and row, is it away from the original center of the item. This value is used on the drop. It will get how many pieces an item has, check each one of those if that key offset added onto the tiles or the slots key. So if it was the hovered item was a 2-2 slot, and I dropped it there, and I had a offset with a 1-1, it would then go check if the 3-3 slot was open. And then if all of the numbers, if all the slots, if there was enough good checks that matched with how many slots were there, it would pass. And I have two last features I needed for this: a rotation and other grids. Rotations took a little, as I have to specifically flip the column and row variables for the offsets and multiply some by negatives to flip their number. After that, after that was all in, I needed one final check to see if the item has the correct tag for the slot, and we have an inventory system. So all I needed to do was get some art done. I really enjoyed this system as it provides a cool game feel while being very simple. Having a finite resource being space and then having unique shaped items you need to fit in add a special just feel to it. Adding the spatial inventory to the companion's equipment slots I found is a really cool system, as you need to now manage the size of your items for that character. So a giant 2x4 claymore won't fit for something like a hunter. So they might only have like a 2x3 slot. And same thing for a rogue might only have a 2x2 slot. So you need to find smaller daggers and unique shapes. And you can kind of stack and put multiple items in. They might not be efficient, but they can work for now. I added a flip through button to change the equipment section per companion, and that way you can kind of check through all their different inventories as you're in the inventory with that cool unique spatial for each equipment. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you want to follow this game's journey. I do post updates on social media like Twitter and TikTok, which are down below, and I just want to say thanks for watching.